What's good, everybody? Welcome to the video. Today, I wanted to talk about the Sky Fever season event, specifically this event in the Sky Fever season. Right? We get events like this all year round, pretty much. We get this event like 4 or 5 times a year, where they allow you the opportunity to get your hands on a Nat 5, which is why I love events like this because 5 stars are some of the strongest units in the game, and you're given the opportunity to pick a monster that will have a real impact on your account that'll make your life so much easier. And eventually, if you stay for long enough, you'll either summon all of these units or you'll go through enough events similar to this event to where you'll be able to just pick them by hand, right? Which is good, again, because these monsters are really good. All of these monsters are good, right? A lot of Nat 5s are good in general. But, my channel has always been about helping new players. So whenever we get an event like this, naturally my first thought is, okay, let me tell new players what I think that they should pick. I'm not telling them to pick it. I mean, at the end of the day, they could pick whichever unit that they were going to have fun with. But I'm always going to give my recommendation, so you're at least getting some information from someone who knows a little something about this game, right? I'm not a pro, right? And and I'll say this now, I could very well be wrong on what I'm about to say throughout this whole video. And if I am, leave a comment, please. I would love to see what you have to say. Like, if you're like, hey, you're wrong about this and here's why, I'll be more than ready to hear you out. And if you present some pretty good, claims or stuff to back you up or information to back you up, who knows? I might change my mind completely. But my concern is always going to be new players and helping them make a choice that'll benefit them the greatest, right? For example, in my opinion, after looking through all of these monsters, for a new player, I think Brondy is like easily the best monster. She should be the number one picked monster because she's super versatile and she helps in so many places. I mean, look at all these areas right here. These are just a few of the main areas that she could be used in. And she's great in all these areas. She's pretty decent in Steel Fortress, really good in Wind Beast. She could do upwards of 1.5, 1.7 mil on decent runes. Chaos Beast, she's amazing here. Light Beast, she's alright. Fire Beast, she's pretty good. So it's like she has good ratings across the board. She's a premium 5 star. She's a 5 star amongst 5 stars, right? But then, you get other units that, you could recommend. Whatever. I'm don't let me get distracted. But I recommend this unit, right? And if you think, oh, well, she'll just sit in the monster storage box. No, she won't. If you play an hour a day, 5 days of the week, by the end of week 1, you'll have done giants and you'll move on into an area where you're going to use her. Because for me, like the path that a new player I think should go for the most amount of benefit is you first obviously tackle giants. You need a source of runes. Then you tackle the beasts. So you can get enchantment gems and even claws or horns, so you can exchange those claws and horns for grindstone. So you get your access to gems, grinds, and now you have some okay runes. It makes tackling the rest of the game, like dragons, Necropolis, so much easier because it's going to be easier to speed tune your units and give them all the stats that they need, right? So I just think going from giants to the rift beasts are a really big deal. And guess where she's good in? Wind Beast, Light Beast, Fire Beast. 3 dungeons, 2 of which are the hardest for new players. I know new players struggle with the Wind Beast, and some of them struggle with the Fire Beast. She's good in both, right? She's good in both. Again, I've just been through this. And then eventually you'll leave the beast or whatever, and you'll start to do dragons. She won't be using dragons, though you probably could, but I wouldn't. And then you'll go to Necropolis, and then you'll go to Steel Fortress and Punisher's Abyss or Punisher's Crypt because you need good artifacts. And then you'll tackle Rift Raid, and in Rift Raid she's going to be perfect in Rift Raid. She's a really good monster. You most likely will never take her out of your Rift Raid team ever. So it's just like she's a really good unit, very versatile, and she's again really good at her job. She's not just decent at her job; she's really good at her job. A lot of these monsters are really good at their job. Where am I going with this? Well, clearly, this sentiment is not shared with other players, especially people who have been playing for well over 1,000, 2,000 days. What people are telling new players to pick, new players who have no idea what it is that they're talking about, no offense, is Teshar. He's picked at 55.6% of the time. He's picked 55.6% of the time. This is not coincidental. This is not, oh, new players think Teshar looks the coolest. This is new players coming into an event like this, seeing that they have the opportunity to pick a really rare monster, and then they're asking, they go back to chat and ask, who's the best monster? And just to prove it, I'll blur out names. But I went into chat, I'll put screenshots up on screen. I asked, as a new player, who's the best monster to pick? Instantly, Tesh. And I got a bunch of people showing me their shared info or whatever button, whatever. They share the info of their Teshar. Everyone's showing Teshar. Everyone is clearly like Teshar, Teshar, Teshar. And I asked why. And the response was, he's good in Giants. Right? And he is. He's absolutely great in Giants. Teshar is great in Giants. In the beginning, for a new player, he could be a decent unit. Where he really shines is for late game players who have already completed all the areas in PvE and they're looking to speed up their times. And they're looking to go into Giant's Keep and get around 30 to 40 seconds average, right? And Teshar can do that. But for a new player, you cannot utilize this monster correctly. And what's going to happen is he's going to be decent for you. He might get the job done, but he's not going to have the impact that you would have thought that he had, right? And what you could have done instead of picking a Teshar, you could have went for a much more free to play team that would have done the same thing as him, and you could have picked a monster here that would actually benefit you in many many ways. Because outside of Giants Give Abyss, what are you using Teshar for? I promise you, he's not necessary for Leo's Tartarus Labyrinth. He's not necessary for Arena. I don't even think I see. I don't think I see too many people using him in Arena. This is late game. Sanctuary of Dreaming Fairies. World Guild Battle is not necessarily late game, but it's like, again, Teshar's. You won't pick Teshar because of that. His main reason for being picked is Giants Give Abyss. This is what players are telling me, right? From me going out and being like, hey, as a new player, who do I pick? They're saying Giants Keep is why you pick him. Giants Keep is why you pick him. In the background, 6 runs already. Done 6 runs. This is what he looks like on an average team. And I say quote unquote average. So you get around a minute. Sometimes it's less than a minute. Sometimes it's more than a minute. Pushing. All right? 57 seconds. These units on that team, I'll show you their runes really quickly. Starting off with a Kamimir. This is his runes. Decent enough, right? I mean, these runes have had some work put into them. Not the most amount of work, but some work. I'll show you Teshar second. Harazvelk. He's had some work put into him. I think his runes are pretty freaking decent. He does his job. Here is Johnny. Belladon. Clearly built for PvE. I mean, speed, tons of tankiness, accuracy. And then we have Veramos, built for PvE, right? All these monsters have decent runes on them. And Teshar, on top of them, has had... I've been messing with him as of the last day or two. Because it's like I am trying to work on him. He had much better stats than this, but I've been trying to make him faster. I need to really dedicate like a week to getting runes for this guy. But here's what he looked like. Before I messed with him, he had over 226% crit damage and 2,550 bonus attack. But obviously, I've taken away some attack and I've been tuning him, right, for the speed team. Because I've been trying to make the speed team, which trying is a heavy word here. It's accurate, trying and failing. But the point is, it's like these monsters are decent, right? They're not bad by any means. He's pushing a minute 16. This monster, Teshar, is the monster that they're telling you to pick to use this one opportunity. Not one. I mean, you get these events throughout the year, but they're telling you pick this unit. He's really good in Giants. This is a team that you'll probably see a lot of people with because this is an average team, right? Again, you're telling new players this. This is a free-to-play team right here, other than Teshar. Veramos and Akamimir. Veramos is Fusion. Akamimir is Guild Shop. Harazville, you can get him from the 4-star summon event in the beginning as a new player, or you can get him from the Fever event, I guess. Belladon is a secret dungeon monster. All of these monsters are completely attainable by new players. Really early on, too. You can get a Kamimir by the end of the first month if you need it to. Teshar is the only one who's quote unquote pay to win. And this is what he's doing. This is what he's doing. He got a minute 6. I'm gonna take him out. We're gonna just throw in Crow. Because Crow is obviously the GOAT. Universal damage dealer. Um but this is who people are telling you to pick. Here is the issue. And this is I'm telling this to new players. You will not build him correctly. You cannot. Right? The way people compete with their Teshars to like Teshar will work fine if you can get him on decent attack. Like as a beginner, if you can get him to around 1,800 bonus attack and then like around 180 to 190% crit damage, he'll work good enough to function, right? But he's like by far not the best pick, even amongst free to play units. Again, for a new summoner. Late game, when you're an existing summoner, you've been playing the game, oh yeah, he's good. Because again, you can get those 30-second times. You're not getting 30-second times in the beginning of the game. And if you pick Teshar, by all means, keep him. Right? I mean, you can see I clearly love my Teshar, right? I mean, I have a transmog on the guy. Clearly, I thought it was worth wasting 100 stones on this guy to get him his transmog. But I just think he's not the best pick for a new player. Because you don't need him. There's no reason to pick him out of all of the good monsters that are there because he's good in Giants. Giants is already covered. In the beginning, they give you Crow, they give you Veramos practically, they give you Lauren, they give you everybody. They give you pretty much everybody. No, they literally give you every single unit that you need pretty much. Except Bella Dion, which you would have to get yourself. But it's just like a beginner team would look something like this, except instead of a Kamamir, you would have like Lynn or Naomi. You would, instead of Harazville, you'd have Shannon and then Crow, Bella Dion, right? These units that are here now, they're here because they work, right? Clearly, you see a minute 14. Teshar was getting a minute 15 on some of these runs, so we'll see how this team does. But Teshar is not going to make. He's not going to really even have much of an impact as for beginners. He only has an impact on people late game. In the beginning, I really do think, and I cannot push this enough, Teshar should not be your pick here. And if I've said that he should be in the past, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Brondia should be your number 1 pick. She's versatile and she does more than most other units. Right? She has good damage. She applies a good amount of debuffs for places like the Rift Raid, which you want. She places defense break, she places glancing and attack break, and super big PP damage on this skill 3. Like, look at this. Attacks enemy with blah, 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 blah. Increases damage by 40% for each harmful effect. So that multiplier can go up and up and up. And in Rift Raid, you're going to have like 5, 6 debuffs on the enemy. Also, you have a chance to put the enemy to sleep for 2 turns after the attack, obviously. And all of these fights right here, all these people are immune to sleep. So the sleep doesn't matter, right? Well, targets that are immune to sleep, which are going to be bosses, will be inflicted with 50% more damage. So she does big damage. Big damage. She provides the debuffs that she's going to need to help her. On her skill 2, by the way, she gives herself attack bar based off of the amount of harmful effects on an enemy. It's like she's super good. Same thing with Liam. Maybe not as good as her, but he's good in his own right. I think he's good for Dragon's Lair, Fire Beast. I think he can even be useful in TOA to a degree because he has enemies max HP damage, which helps with higher floors. Stunning, blocks beneficial effects, glancing, disturb HP recovery, all of these are useful. And again, I'll say it again, Teshar is also useful, but not as useful as so many of these other picks. And people telling you to pick Teshar, I don't know if they're just going with the flow because they heard somebody else say it. Teshar is not the best pick. Because you want to know what his gimmick is? The gimmick is that you're going to attack with one of these 2 skills, either Arcane Blast or Lightning Nova, and then he's going to follow up with his passive. And for him to actually work, he needs to kill with either one of these 2 skills. He needs to kill at least one enemy by the time he's done with his entire attack. If he doesn't, this goes on cooldown. And when this goes on cooldown, it stays on cooldown for a little bit, unless you have units that reduce cooldown or whatever the fuck, right? But as a new player, you're going to see that passive go on cooldown multiple times. So what does he have after the passive? He has nothing of significant value, right? Stun for one turn with an 18% chance and garbage fucking damage. I promise, no. This one's decent. One beneficial effect of removal. So he removes one beneficial effect and does damage based off of the enemy's current HP condition. The more HP they have, the larger the damage. Every 2 turns. Nice. But without this passive, he's useless. He's no better than a Lin, in my opinion. This passive is what makes him stand out. And even in those speed teams that you saw, speed teams that, again, you won't touch a speed team until your late game. It's like they found a workaround for this because they understand that they're not going to always have this off of cooldown. Eventually, he's going to attack an enemy, and the enemy is going to put this thing on cooldown. That's why they brought Konamiya, because Konamiya reduces cooldowns, right? I believe she does. Or no, she just pushes turns, which, in a way, helps. But the point is that she helps get them off of their cooldown as quickly as possible by pushing their turns forward. So it's like even older players understand that this passive is very hard to keep off of cooldown consistently because the amount of stats that you need for this passive to work, to always be off of cooldown, is intense. The speed team is built around Teshar. You want to know how the speed team works? I'll show you how the speed team works. Here, we'll go here, and I'll explain it all. So we get the dungeon debate, blah, 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 30 seconds. So what happens is she will move first. Prilia will move first. She has a defense break on every single one of her skills. She goes in and she defense breaks a monster. Teshar will follow her in and use his skill to potentially kill the enemy because their defense broken, or if that doesn't kill the enemy, this will. And then, obviously, you weaken most of the wave, you've killed an enemy. That's when Konamiya moves after Teshar, uses this, so he gives Teshar another turn and then an attack buff for 1 turn. And the cooldown of this is very low too, look at that, 2 turns. And then he takes another turn, and since his passive is on cooldown because he just killed an enemy, he goes in again. Skill 2 or skill 1, and then AoE, which finishes up the wave. And if it doesn't, that's what these 2 units, Lin and the Wind Homunculus, are here for. That's what they're here for, is to finish and clean up. And you'll be able to... This all happens in one rotation, right? And that's the dynamic that team goes by throughout the whole match, right? We'll even take a look at the run in a second. But, it's such a weird thing to discuss because it's like, at the end of the day, something like this isn't really that big of a deal because, again, like I said, we get this type of event 4 or 5 times throughout the year. But just because we get it so often, that doesn't mean that we can't still try and pick the options that are best for us. Again, if you want to pick Teshar, by all means, go ahead. But, I mean, this is pretty much on par with what Teshar was doing. I don't know what happened with this run right here. But you see, like, look at that. Teshar's fastest run was like 55 seconds. It's a minute 14, a minute 7, 16, minute 1, minute 4, a minute 10. Teshar shaves off like mere seconds. Mere seconds. You're picking a monster whose sole purpose is here in Giants. And as a new player, at best, he's shaving off seconds. You do not use Teshar until late game. You just don't. You don't properly use him until late game. Especially as a new player, where you just don't know what it is that you're doing half the time. You will not be able to utilize him. I'll even show you. Like I said, I've made an attempt to build my speed team, right? I need to farm some more because he needs to be on all fight runes. But it's just like, you get even... Where is she? Prilia. I've built Prilia. She's kind of on fight runes. I don't know why she doesn't have artifacts. But you see, it's like, I've spent a little bit of time. I didn't really dedicate too much time to building that team, but I pretty much have it tuned, and I'll show you exactly what that team looks like when it's running. But, Lord have mercy, man. It's just... I don't know how to say what it is that I want to say without sounding weird or crazy or stupid. But it's just... Teshar is not the best pick. I don't see why people are pushing Teshar so hard. Unless, it... I have a weird negative thought about this. whole thing right here. I swear to God, half of the people playing this game don't know what it is that they're talking about. And they're just giving out the answer that they think sounds the smartest. And that's a toxic way of thinking, ain't it? But God, Lee, I can't help but feel that way. Where is Lynn? So, this is what the team looks like, right? Let's hop into this bitch. She goes in, bam, bam, gives us another turn. We do that, and they come up and clean up. Easy turn one. Easy wave one. He's off of cooldown, but that's fine. Getting frozen here, but that's fine. By the way, Konamiya could have healed us and got those debuffs off of us, but he want to play around. Fair enough. Bam. Easy. Easy peasy. And here we are, boss stage. Boss is already at half health. I mean, I've already told you how it goes. She moves. Teshar then moves. Does big PP damage. Big AoE damage. Konamiya will come in, give him another turn. It doesn't matter if he dies here, by the way. And then he finishes clearing the wave. And then the Wind Homunculus, the Wind Homunculus and Lyn are cleanup. And then when you get to this stage, this is how it's supposed to look. Everyone is supposed to start dying. The Wind Homunculus carries. That's why the Wind Homunculus is here, because of his passive. But the problem is, my monsters need more tuning. They need to be perfected. See, when you're trying to build a speed team, you need good runes to make everybody work. Hell, there are even specific rune sets you go for. Like I said, I should be going for fight runes. Fight runes on all fight runes on Prilia, all fight runes on Konamiya, all fight runes on Lyn. That's what you want to have to boost the damage as much as possible. I mean, the stat requirements to make speed teams work are insanely high. So high that it's like you're just not going to accomplish that unless you're like an experienced player. But as a new player, you're not reaching the requirements within the first 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. It takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of work. Again, it's like this account that we're playing on right now has existed forever, right? And it still is nowhere near ready to make a speed team like this. Clearly, as you can see. And when you try to half-ass it or make an attempt and you do not meet the requirements, you can see what is happening here. We're not doing it properly. So it's like, again, it's not even making a difference for me at this point to have Teshar here. The point I'm trying to make is like, if I can't even do it as someone who's been playing this game for how long? I mean, on and off, or what? How old is this account? 855 days. Why does anyone expect a new player to utilize Teshar? Again, the most you're going to get out Teshar is he's decent in Giants. And for the longest time, he'll be quote-unquote decent. But he will not serve a greater purpose until way late. My recommendation, whenever you're doing any of these events as a new player, aim for a monster that's going to actually bring some utility, like Brondia, like Liam, hell, even like the Occult Girl or Nora. These units serve a far greater purpose, and they're going to have such a far greater impact. When the day comes that you'll be able to build Teshar's speed team, you'll have summoned him alone by himself, or you'll have gone through so many of these events that you'll be able to just pick him then. But I think that in the moment, as a new player, you should be picking a unit that's going to help you today. That unit will be Liam. That unit will be Brondia. That's the only point I'm trying to make here. I'm not trying to say that anyone's pick is a bad pick. There's no bad pick you can really make in an event like this. All of them are good. The thing I'm arguing here is picking a monster that works for you, right? And that's all this video is. New players, if you have the opportunity, I would switch out to Teshar for Brondia. Or if you don't want to, then that's fine. You continue playing the way you want to play. But I just wanted to kind of put this out there. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.